Hey there, everybody. We are back on all the platforms here. Cable 12 will be joining you very soon. Getting some damage reports out there. Quite impressive out there, actually, across the Roanoke Valley area, where I've got a report here out of Cave Spring of 3-inch tree limbs broken, some power poles broken as well. It takes a lot of wind to do that. I'm going to keep it on this broad view right now, but that report came out of, again, the city of Roanoke, 2 miles northeast of Cave Spring. I've also had some reports, and these are where the storms were earlier. Down into the Elliston area, large tree down in the median of US 460 near Big Spring Baptist Church. We've got, if you move upstream a little bit here from where these storms were occurring, I've got this also on my Twitter. Shawsville, one tree down there in the Montgomery County area. We had 0.7-inch hail in Graysontown in Pulaski County. That's extreme eastern Pulaski County. And looking at other severe thunderstorm warnings that are out now. Also a new storm report coming out of Allegheny County, 3 miles south of Hollins in Allegheny County. That's a different Hollins, I'm sure. 66-mile-per-hour winds in Allegheny County. That's by a weather spotter in that area, Coco Ross spotter. So that also is very, very impressive. 66-mile-per-hour winds will do a number on the trees. It's saying, by the way, there are 3 large trees down and the power is out in that area. These storms appear to be most severe in a corridor that runs from Stanton south through Rockbridge, Lexington, Buena Vista, also into northern Bedford County. Rockbridge County getting hit very hard. Botetourt County has been hit very hard. We've got a report of a possible lightning strike. Not sure it's a structure fire, possible structure fire in the Botetourt County. I wasn't able to get the address on that over the scanner here, but of course, you always wonder if it's lightning related, as we've seen a lot of lightning with some of these storms. Also, a report of a tree down in Botetourt County as well. Bedford County is under the gun right now. Bedford area under the severe thunderstorm warning, and now these are nearing the Lynchburg, Madison Heights area going into Amherst County. But Big Island here, you're looking at a pretty good cell there. That includes these areas that you see on the screen: Powell Store, Big Island, Snowden, Coleman Falls, and that area is major as well over the next 15 to 20 minutes. Pretty impressive vills and pretty impressive echo tops there as well, up to 1-inch hail possible in that storm. And then here I'll slide this over a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. This cell here moving, just moved over Hardy. It's moving into Town and Country at 320, Bedford 322, North Hills at 324, and Peaksville at 326. That possible structure fires in Daleville, but a lot of fire alarms going off, and sometimes it's just the thunder that's so loud, it'll do that to you. So everywhere off to the west, and let me pull the other radar screen up here so you can get kind of a better vantage point here. Let's pull up my lonely screen. This is off my iPad, but everywhere west of here, this area here and off to the west is in the clear now. All right, so anywhere in the blue areas, you are okay. It's the areas off to the east where we still are worried about these severe thunderstorms that are still ongoing. And again, Lynchburg City up to Lexington, your second storm of the day in Lexington, Stanton, Waynesboro, Stewart's Draft. I would not want to be traveling I-81 through Glasgow and the parts of Botetourt County. The rains are letting up some, but still some moderate rain in behind that storm. But the most severe part of that is the front edge, which right now is going into Bedford, and we've got what's left of that warning that still includes Manita and the Westlake area of Franklin County, although it looks like most of Franklin County is okay. Bedford County really around Big Island taking it under the gun here, and a little bit of a broad rotation maybe in the northern part of this cell too, from Glasgow to Big Island. That's a pretty impressive storm. But the primary threat is certainly straight line winds and large hail. To the south, it's not that much of a big deal until you get down into North Carolina. So if you can see here, Blue dot's where I'm at, if you've ever wondered where I'm broadcasting from. There you go. Somebody asked me if it's coming to Virginia Beach eventually, but it may lose some punch by the time it gets there. I'd say it'd be there around 9, 10 o'clock in the evening, and it may not hold together because the sun will be setting there and losing some of that daytime heating. But from Senatorsville south to Rocky Mount, we've got, for our Cable 12 viewers, a healthy cell there, but it's sub-severe at the moment. That could gain strength. It looks like, again, the main segment of this, and I was looking at some of the modeling earlier, that northern segment there is the most intense part here that's ingesting a lot of that unstable air. If you move out a little bit, though, and go down across North Carolina, you can see additional development starting to see now around Greensboro, High Point, Burlington, and Asheboro. Some discrete cells, none of which are really rotating or anything like that, but they're out there, so we'll have to wait and see what they do as well. This is a different feature here, a different program. I can show you all the lightning that I'm seeing off the GOES and off the lightning detector network. I'll plot that on here for you. And it's going to be quite a bit. You can see it there covering the screen. So yeah, it's been very dry, and sometimes in thunderstorms you can get fires because a lightning bolt is hotter than the surface of the sun. 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit will do that. And any storm that produces lightning is dangerous, really. It makes it a thunderstorm, and you can see even outside of the actual polygon. We tell you to respect the polygon in terms of severe weather, but anytime you have lightning, it's a danger. So you want to stay away from windows and make sure everything is unplugged and everything else. High water reported into Montgomery County, Roanoke Road and Den Hill. High water across 3 lanes of traffic there. So seeing something coming in now for that area, Montgomery County there off the scanner feed page. Thank you, Christian, for that. You can see Big Island. Here's that part of the storm. Now I want to look and see if I've got any rotation in here. One thing I do see, very, very high winds. These are winds that are showing up around 50, 55 miles per hour on the radar. And when you see the red turn to blue on even the storm relative velocity, that's getting into the 50 to 60 mile per hour range. So these are dangerous storms. And if I put this in motion, you can almost get a feel of that wind pushing out. Now, this is radial velocity, so it's not pure velocity. In other words, it's relative to the circle around the radar site. But it gives me a good idea here. And the radar beam is up around 4,000 feet. But when you get heavy rain like that, it takes that 50, 60 mile per hour wind and it takes it down to the ground. We were looking earlier today, if you were reading my Patreon, you know that we were concerned about the fact that we could probably see some downward momentum with some of these storms as they continue to push through, and that's called downdraft cape. So it looks like that's being utilized, especially, it's not surprising with all the energy out there. And yes, you probably are going to have some storms tomorrow, Steve, watching me on TikTok, probably ahead of that cold front. So watching out there. We've also got a severe thunderstorm warning that kind of fills the gaps here from the Lexington area now and around the Piney River area in areas to the north and west. That's in effect until 3:45. These storms are now moving east at 65 miles per hour. You heard me talk earlier about the 30 mile per hour movement. Now we're going up to 65 mile per hour movement. So these are starting to get their act together in terms of moving very quickly. So that's going to add momentum to the straight line winds. And again, I want to mention that we do have a severe thunderstorm watch for the entire area until I believe it is 8 p.m. this evening, although it could get shaven off from the west. It's 8 or 10 o'clock, I can't remember. Either way, once this line has cleared you, you are okay. So I'd now say from Covington, Fincastle, while you're still getting rain in Fincastle, now in Roanoke, you're in the clear. Watch out for the high water, though, from Roanoke in the Montgomery County and Reiner. But you're in the clear. I think Franklin County is about to be in the clear. I don't know if we're going to see additional activity this evening, but I feel like that's the outflow boundary. And that can sometimes show up here on the spectrum width product. You can see the outflow. This is the cool outflow from the storm that has choked off the updraft from the storm. So it's outflow dominant, meaning that storms contain both an updraft and a downdraft, and the downdrafts can do the straight line wind damage. It's the updrafts that, when coupled with the downdrafts, can give you the tornadic activity when conditions are right. Do not see that. Do not see an indication of rotation. I just see a lot of exhaling from these storms, and probably a shelf cloud going across Bedford County and nearing the Lynchburg area as well. I do see some pretty impressive spectrum width products here nearing the Lynchburg City area north of Forest. And there is some rotation here, so I am watching that north of Forest there, north of Good. That's some broad rotation. It's just when it's coupled with what I'm seeing there on the radar screen as far as how the winds are changing within that pixel. I would not be surprised to see some broad rotation there, but it's primarily if anything gets rotating, it's going to be because of the gusting nature of the straight line winds. Roanoke City 911 reporting a tree down the intersection of 13th Street and Patterson Avenue now. I want to go back to my base velocity too, because I also noticed, you see, these are the brighter colors here showing up in the green, that light green, that lime green. Those are the 50 mile per hour plus winds coming out of the radar. The radar is picking that up too, up in the cloud, but they're probably not getting to the ground until you get into the reds on the radar screen right in through here, where those raindrops are getting down to the ground. And probably some large hail too in some of these storms. In fact, if I zoom in across Rockbridge County, Buena Vista, and Lexington and pop on my VIL density, I do see an increase in the VIL density. That's vertically integrated liquid. We do have a possibility of some hail here up to about 0.7 inches, and that's what we had in the Pulaski County area earlier. And I also saw some broad rotation with this cell. This is a loft getting into more of a Sterling area, but north of Vesuvius into Stewart's Draft, there's a lightning jump here, and clearly there is, if you look at the storm relative velocity, from Blacksburg anyway, you do have some rotation there coming toward the radar and away from the radar. So that is something that kind of need to keep an eye on that sucker, I believe, as it's crossing Nelson County there. Let's see what they have in terms of tornado possibilities there. It doesn't show anything, but you have to watch anytime. That's a severe thunderstorm warning there for Augusta counties and Nelson counties until 3:45. From Monticello, Sharonda moving east at 35 miles per hour. But south of Waynesboro, that's a dangerous looking storm to me. Let me pull up another radar site here if my computer can handle it here. I've got so much open right now. We'll go up here. And the Sterling radar was actually down earlier. Seeing lots of hail reports around an inch, which is severe criteria. We'll move it to one panel here. We'll let that load. These are huge files because they take into account all the volume scans from the different radars. This storm cell is right in between the Blacksburg radar and the Sterling radar. So it's at about 11,000 feet is where the radar beam is hitting this thing. That is way above where any tornado would be. And if you look at it from Blacksburg, it's about the same, I would think. Yeah, it's about 12,000 feet that we're seeing it there. So actually it's 8,000. So we're seeing it a little bit better from Blacksburg, which is out of curiosity. I wanted to see it from Sterling's site there as well. We'll put their base velocity product on, and it's very noisy, so not really showing much, but there's some broad rotation coming out of Augusta County into northern Nelson County. And we've had research done before. We have to watch sometimes these discrete cells that cross the Blue Ridge, because they can produce basically a little bit of rotation as the wind comes off the mountains. The column stretches and we get a skinnier column that if it's rotating already in a broad sense, it could tighten up a little bit, and you may see something kind of spin up there. But right now it's Lexington, Amherst, north of Lynchburg, and then to eastern Bedford County. Lots of damage reports now coming in out of the Roanoke Valley area. We'll move back here to the Blacksburg radar. You see all the lightning there. If you move in a little bit closer around Bedford City or the town of Bedford, Good, Forest, or the area of Bedford. Also nearing the Timberlake area, Lynchburg City. We've got street level mapping here. You can kind of see the streets popping on here. North side of town in Lynchburg there is the heaviest stuff. Then as you move up toward Monroe, Sweetbriar Station, and the Amherst, and especially going in the Big Island, I'd watch for some flooding as well. As you know, that rain's just pouring down. That's a lot of rain falling in a short amount of time. KDP, something I like to look at to see how the cells are doing in terms of where the updrafts are. And where you see the green areas, that's where the storms are still breathing in air. And remember that cell I was kind of watching up toward the Lexington and Buena Vista area, seeing a little bit more of a indication that between Brownsburg and Fairfield, just off to the west in Rockbridge County, that's a very healthy storm still that you see there. And I'll put that in motion, and you can see those updrafts really getting going, and that's moving in toward the rest of Augusta County and into Nelson County. So Nelson County, Amherst County, you want to be on guard here as well. As you go south into Lynchburg, you still want to be on guard. Your cell in Lynchburg is going to come at you from Bedford. It's going to come more out of the southwest. The stuff you're hearing right now in Lynchburg is up to your northwest already. So that's moving into Big Island and Amherst County and Monroe. But it looks like your activity is going to start to train down here a little bit into the southern part of Bedford County, move closer into Abington and Timberlake and Lynchburg City with time. Again, moving south out of Roanoke now, things are done for you in Roanoke. You are in the clear. Boone's Mill, you're in the clear. All of the NRV, New River Valley, Mountain Empire in the clear. May see some additional showers and storms later, but that would be about it. We've got a tree down on the West Side Boulevard and Northwest and Salem Turnpike. A tree was blown down at the intersection of 13th Street and Patterson Avenue in the city of Roanoke. And that's just repeating 3-inch tree limbs and power poles broken there in the city of Roanoke as well. But very limited activity down here to the south. But if you go across North Carolina, things are lighting up. So there was a bit of a lull here from Martinsville and the Ridgeway, where I believe what happened was the complex out of Tennessee went this way and hit this air, and then we developed another complex near the upper level energy, which is shooting up across West Virginia. The tail of that is what's igniting the stuff right now into Lynchburg, and that continues edging very close to Lynchburg. But raining outside at the TV station, we had a gust of about 10 miles per hour. That ain't too bad, you know. But it's nearing Alta Vista, Gretna, and Chatham. This is an outflow boundary that could fire up a shower or a thunderstorm along it. Remember, we do have the severe thunderstorm watch in effect just in case through 8 p.m., watching that very carefully. But the real heavy activity right there nearing the Lynchburg area. We've got probabilities of some large hail in this, but primarily we've got just a lot of wind energy that's going to come through in a straight line fashion. So watching that as it continues to move off to the east. Friends are watching me across the country, so I want to give you more of a regional picture now. And the severe thunderstorm watch goes into effect all the way up in the Maryland, District of Columbia, eastern West Virginia, the coastal waters of Virginia there, Chesapeake Bay area until, again, 8 p.m. And it's going to get shaven off here as we continue to watch the storms eat that energy up. Primarily wind damage on the southern flank of this. If you notice the storm reports, primarily south of I-64, it's been mainly wind damage, a little bit of hail. But if you go north of I-64, it's been primarily hail reports. Now, that's kind of directly related to the upper level temperatures, but there's also probably some other thermodynamics going on that's creating the difference there. So severe, sometimes you get the hail and or sometimes the wind. Doesn't have to be either or. It doesn't have to be rotating. but 66 miles per hour, that's a lot of wind there in Allegheny County earlier. We've had some flooding reports in and around Birmingham, and the tornado watch in the Birmingham down to Montgomery, Alabama continues until 4 o'clock Central Time. Atlanta, west side of Atlanta, is under a severe thunderstorm warning. That's in effect there until 3:45 Eastern Time. That includes Athens as well. It doesn't look too impressive at the moment, but there could be some embedded circulation and some straight line winds. Folks asking earlier about the Charlotte area. You can see one warning there as you get up 85 up around Greensboro. That's in Guilford County and Alamance County. That's in effect until 4:15. That's moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. So I would watch out around the greater Durham, Raleigh area. Raleigh-Durham area here, and maybe seeing up 86 toward the Danville vicinity if anything tries to fire up. But primarily this area has been from Rocky Mount down to Eden, North Carolina. We have been in kind of a quiet zone, and that's been the good news with these storms so far. But it's all the same system. There's a big cold front off to the west that's creating this. Showers and storms around the Augusta, Georgia area too, just off to the east. I'd watch out around Columbia, maybe some activity there, but it looks like it's sub-severe at the moment. Then you trek farther off to the south here, and we've got a huge, messy complex of storms with tornado warnings in effect right now, or at least one tornado warning for Holmes County and Yazoo County, Madison County, and central Mississippi until 3:15 Central Time. The tornado located near Maryville, or 8 miles southeast of Yazoo City, an area that was just hit by a tornado. That's amazing. Moving off to the east at 50 miles per hour. That's in Mississippi. So if you're north of Jackson, certainly be advised for folks in Mississippi here, it looks like it's just off to the east of Yazoo City. You want to take cover in this area, get into an interior room away from windows. And if you're in the Alabama area, lots of high water reports here, so just turn around, don't drown, and you can see the watch there outlined in red. So there's a summary of what's going on. It's got a new storm report in for Roanoke, so let's go back to the local radar here. Pull it up this time on WSV3. Got a tree blown down at the intersection of Brandon Avenue and Canterbury Road Southwest, and another one just came in. Flash flooding in downtown Roanoke, including a car stuck in the water at 1.5 and Salem Avenue. Also flooding reported at Campbell Avenue and 10th Avenue Southwest. So if you are familiar with downtown Roanoke there on Campbell Avenue, it did it once again. It flooded, and that's just the way the roads and the elevation work there when it rains over a large part of Roanoke City. Roanoke's a bowl, basically, and all that pavement, the water can't soak in. It's going to run off. It was raining at 3 inches per hour when those storms rolled through. We had a second line of storms after that. That's what gave us the flooding in the Roanoke City area. And that will always be a problem until we're able to do some kind of overhaul on that. I think just looking at basically a situation where the Weather Service was smart enough to put the flood advisory out fast. As soon as those storms popped up over downtown, we collectively, as meteorologists, have figured out that Roanoke will flood if you've got enough rain falling. The rain rate is impressive enough, and you've got more rain upstream from that. So, heavy rain also a possibility in any of these storms, and that could produce isolated flash flooding. Lynchburg still seeing the activity again on the north side of town there, going into Amherst County as well. The severe thunderstorm warning for Lexington has been canceled. We're continuing the warning for Amherst, Rockbridge County until 3:45 for another 13 minutes or so. Lynchburg, Rockbridge County until 4 o'clock under that severe thunderstorm warning. So it's these three cells here from eastern Augusta County down through Lexington, Bedford, and Lynchburg. That's the area we're watching. So upstream, or downstream, I should say, if you are watching from Appomattox in the Amherst, and let me get my telestrator up here, these are going to move through Lynchburg. They're going to move through Amherst. They're going to approach Dillon, and they're going to approach Scottsville here over the next hour to 2 hours. And off to the east here, we've got the Richmond area. So I'm expecting these to at least hold together somewhat. So Greater Richmond, if you've got any friends there, you're going to be traveling there, you definitely want to be, on alert for some strong straight line winds as they kind of march down I-64 and just south there. If you go down through Farmville and 460, Pamplin, that area. And Farmville itself will want to watch these storms with time as they continue to march off to the east. We can look at some of the flood advisory information. You can see that's still in effect right now for the area highlighted there in teal. And you can see the heaviest of the rain there continuing to move off to the north and to the east. But what I wanted to show you too was the visible satellite picture. It gives us a good idea of where the energy is getting used up. And you can see these are CAPE values. That's the thunderstorm field, and that's primarily what gave us all the problems today. We just had so much sunshine, so much humidity popping up ahead of these storms. Values around 2,000 to even 3,000 joules per kilogram, and that's like dynamite going off in the atmosphere when you put a trigger at it. That's what happens. So this is continuing to eat that energy up here and produce some very strong straight line winds coming out from the thunderstorm. You're going to see trees down probably in Amherst County and Nelson County here very soon as these storms continue to march off to the east. You can see the cluster there in between, just some clouds in the Franklin County and areas to the south. You can see the towers extending into the sky. But most importantly, off to the west of Roanoke, you can see that the CAPE values diminish here. We go from the yellows and oranges down into the purples, where we're looking at only 250 to 500 rather than 2,000 to 3,000. So it's a big difference, but I would draw your attention to the fact that when you go into eastern Virginia, you still see high values here pooling up around South Boston. And it's unclear. We'd have to see stuff fill in here because we've got that big break in the action. But once you go from South Boston into South Hill areas to the north and all the way out into eastern Virginia in the Bay region, Hampton Roads, I'd watch out not only this evening, but again, early Wednesday and Wednesday afternoon, as that cold front nears the area, it may fire up another round. Locally, back to the west, it's coming through right now, and I think we'll have a few showers around for the day tomorrow. Salem now, city of Salem, multiple limbs down along West Riverside Drive. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning for Amherst, Appomattox, Buckingham, and Campbell counties until 4:30 p.m. With this line that's moving through right now. Let me show you that. So there is your new warning for Buckingham County, northern Amherst County, and that's basically continuing to cover the cell out of Amherst. Broad rotation with that, but again, primarily just a lot of wind coming out of this. And I'm looking at that on the Sterling radar. I'm going to look at it on the Blacksburg radar. Certainly see some circulation there as it's coming off the mountains through Amherst, but right around Gladstone, north of Appomattox proper, not in the warning, but you can see there a lot of wind. And where the values kind of go down a little bit, now Sterling has met that warning because this is the area where Sterling and Blacksburg areas, they border each other basically. So one office is picking up where the other one leaves off, so it's consistent. The messaging is consistent. But we do have some medium circulations here coming off of the Blue Ridge, northwest of Livingston into parts of Nelson County there in the mountainous areas. We also see some interesting mid-level circulation here, which is helping to not only give a little bit of spin to the storms, but it helps separate the updraft and downdraft, and that's what helps to get the hail going as well. And there is some indication of at least some small hail from Sweetbriar Station in the Amherst. That's where our most prominent updraft is, there in the green and the yellow, north and to the east of Amherst. But that's going to be moving to Livingston, Schuyler, Scottsville, and Buckingham there over the next, let's see, half hour or so to the next hour, next 30 to 60 minutes, moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. 1 1/4 hail reported by broadcast media in Augusta County and Greenville. That's in Augusta County. We've also had a tree blown down at the 400 block of Mount Herman Road. Road is closed in Augusta County, 6 miles southwest of Summerdene. So getting lots of damage reports in. I'm going to hop off again here and try to get you some more images out as these warnings continue to be issued. But again, it's primarily in the local area. It's the northern part of the area, the central part north of Alta Vista, seeing most of the thunderstorm activity. You can clearly see where that's going. Again, it's heading toward Farmville. Charlotte Courthouse, you may want to watch this. Again, Alta Vista, it's very close to you, but mainly Lynchburg City here, very strong. I'd say Campbell County, though, you do need to watch out. You're not under a warning just yet in Evington, but Rustburg down to Gladys, Brookneal, if this holds together, you may see a warning at some point down to the south on this southern flank of these towers as they're coming off the mountains. That's your update for right now. Keep it here for more updates.